But also airports is the other thing. If you're wearing it in an airport, you do get people come up and ask, why have we got a GB top on? And you get to, again, share your passion with and I've had a couple of people on flights, I've had kids come up to me and ask, are you famous? And I'm like, well, not quite, but no. but
infamous.
But then you get 5 minutes to talk to them about triathlon and encourage them to come along and try it out. So.
That's the voice of Kevin Morice, who I met while accompanying Mrs. C at her first management role as the Aquathlon manager in Pamplona, Spain at the European Championships. And unbeknownst to me, Kevin is an avid listener, as you'll hear in the podcast. And so I recommended that he sat down with me and we recorded his story. And thankfully he agreed, and we spent, I don't know, an hour or so chatting about the thing that we love. Great story, very knowledgeable, quite, we sort of digressed quite a few times. It just flowed. It was great to do it in person for a change. That's the second one. The last episode with Martin Kitchener, that was also in person, so it's quite nice. So I hope you enjoy Kevin's story. He's really, really into all things multisport, and he tries to promote it, as you'll hear, when he can and as often as he can. And a big thank you once again to him for, one, coming on, and two, listening to the podcasts, and I hope he enjoys his episode. So that's coming up, and the guests keep coming on. We had 3 people reach out to us. One from a previous guest, Malcolm Smith, who'd been chatting at an event to one of his competitors and told him all about our podcast, which was really, really nice of him. Thank you very much, Mal. Much appreciated. So we've got 3 guests potentially coming up. If you want to be a guest on the pod, please do get in touch. All the details will be at the end, how you can do that, as usual. But come on and share your story. We're always looking for guests. So please do come on and inspire. Personally, bit of bad news. Well, bit of good news and then a bit of bad news. The good news was that I'd got a Q3 for the Sprint Duathlon World Champs confirmed by email last week. So that's cool. And that's taking place in Abu Dhabi, and we've even got a date already for that. That's around about November the 23rd, 2026, so that's good. So that was the good news. The bad news was, I don't think we're going to make Pontevedra World Championships cross duathlon this time. We've got some family issues. Mrs. C's dad's going in for a scan, and we don't think that it's a good idea to go away at the moment while it's all going on. Sometimes life gets in the way of best laid plans and all that. So he goes for his scan Wednesday when this podcast drops. Hopefully, touch wood, everything will be all right. But we'll just take it one day at a time and see what happens. It's not a definite no, but at the moment we've put everything on hold. We've cancelled our accommodation. Still got flights, but we'll just see how it goes. So that was a bit of bad news. But still training. Just come back in today, Monday. The Monday before the podcast goes out. Just done a off-road brick session on our local disused railway, and then up to a local common which has got a really good climb on it. So I did a 6K run out and back, and then grabbed the mountain bike out the van and went and did some hill repeats and then back again. So that was good. Enjoyed that. Still doing the track sessions, and went out for a nice tootle with Mrs. C last week. That was good. So yeah, still training, still keep going. If we don't manage Pontevedra, which is unlikely, we've still got Czechia in August, which is the European Off-Road Duathlon Championships. So there's always the next race, isn't there? Always something around the corner. So that's that. What we've been watching? We've been watching the Dauphin Tour, the week-long stage tour, cycling. If that's your thing, you might have seen it. Had all the top Tour de France protagonists in there. It had Mathieu van der Poel also in there. So yeah, it was a good race, really exciting. If you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, Pogacar won out. He won the whole thing, which is hardly surprising at the moment. He just seems to be a level above everybody else. And Jonas Vingegaard, who's his biggest rival, I guess, for the Tour de France, came second. He was about a minute and odd down. And Remco Evenepoel, who is looking probably for third place at the Tour de France this year, he, I think, came about fourth. So, he was struggling a bit, but he has just come back from injury. But a really exciting race. Also, the Diamond League, that's kicked off again. We've been watching that. I think it was Oslo and where did we watch the other night? Switzerland, I think. Really good. Amazing pole vaulter. It's amazing what you watch when you watch athletics. We love all the running, but we love all the watching all the field events as well. And our favourite at the moment is the pole vault with Duplantis. He's just incredible. He broke the world record again on Sunday night, and he just keeps going on and on and on, and it's so exciting to see. And he broke it in his home country, and it was amazing. But so that's good. That's all enjoyable to watch. Also was the T100, and they were over in Vancouver in Canada, and that was on Saturday, I think. Yeah, Saturday afternoon and evening we watched that. Men went off first. It was quite a rough and cold sea swim, and the bike was undulating, and the run was sort of on gravel. And the winner in the men's was Jelle Gaines, followed closely by his compatriot from Belgium, Martin van Riel. And in third place was the young German Mika Nut, who is just getting better and better each race. Jelle Gaines came from behind on the run, and he just went through the field, and he looked really, really comfortable. So well done to him. And then the ladies, which was more exciting, I think, and I think the racing overall is more exciting. And all the big hitters were there: Taylor Knibb, Jess Lamont, Lucy Charles-Barclay, Julie Duron, who won last time, Ashley Gentle, Holly Lawrence, just come back from having a baby, Taylor Spivey, Paula Findlay, and Lucy Byram from GB also. And it wasn't any surprise that the three ladies up front was Lucy Charles-Barclay, Taylor Knibb, and Jess Lamont, all out of the water first on the swim. And then on the bike it became a two-horse race with Jess and Taylor. Knibb just putting minutes in everybody else. I think they were just a different level on the bike this time round, so that gave Jess a really good sort of buffer on the run. Over the last couple of races she's done really well on the swim and the bike, and her run coming back from injury is just not being there at the moment. And on this occasion she managed to get third. She held on. She had a good buffer, like I said, on the bike. Only Julie Duron caught her up and passed her literally on the last lap, and Taylor Knibb won overall. Julie Duron came second, and it was just so nice to see Jess get onto the podium after all the hard work and working so hard on the swim and the bike. She managed to hold on and get third place, which is just fantastic. And that leads me on nicely to podcast recommendations. Jess has just started co-hosting a podcast with Bex Milne. Bex is an endurance coach specialising in all things triathlon, and she's coached right across triathlon really, ITU, Paralympic, Commonwealth Games medalists, and she coaches pro triathletes and age group athletes over the longer distances. And she's got Jess on as a co-host, and the podcast is called Miles from Ordinary, and I think they've done about 3 or 4 so far. I've listened to them all and they're just hilarious, and it's just going through what they've been doing over the last week or two, and it's just so funny. And Jess is she's just easy on the ear, isn't she? She's just so down to earth and so easy to listen to, and she calls a spade, and so I can definitely recommend that. If you haven't listened to that already, give that a listen. Miles from Ordinary. And the second one's a bit left field. It's about nutrition, and it's from a guy called Dr. Gregor, and he's wrote loads of books. How Not to Diet is one of them. How Not to Die is another. And basically, he does a lot of research in nutrition, and it's all available for free online. He's got a YouTube channel, and he does a podcast which is very, very short. This one was only 14 minutes. If you're into your nutrition, or you want any advice on what you should be eating to make a better, healthier lifestyle, not necessarily for dieting or losing weight or anything, but if you want to look at your diet versus what Dr. Gregor recommends, I would definitely give this podcast a listen. And this episode, he was talking about his daily dozen. Basically, he has a dozen foods, and he made an app, and the app has these dozen foods on, and you've got to try and tick each of the foods off on this app daily. So he was just discussing that. But yeah, really knowledgeable guy in the food environment, and if you haven't heard of him before, or read any of his books, or he does some cookbooks that we've got a couple at home, and they're really, really good recipes in there. He's vegetarian, but don't let that put you off. So give that a listen. The podcast's called Nutrition Facts with Dr. Gregor. You'll find it on any of your platforms that you listen to your podcasts on. So that's about it, I think. Time for the main event. Hope you enjoyed Kev's story. We'll see you on the other side. So thank you for coming and agreeing to do. This is my second live podcast face to face with somebody out here in Spain, which has been really nice actually, because normally it's over Zoom, and as good as Zoom is, it's quite a bit impersonal. So thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Also a big thank you for being a listener. It's nice to meet a listener in person as well. Yeah. I think you're the first one. Even Kate doesn't listen to the podcast. She didn't even listen to her own. I saved podcast 100 for her, and she didn't even listen to it. She was a good guest, but she didn't listen to it because she hates her own voice. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and then we'll take it from there.
So I'm Kevin Morice. I'm from Aberdeen, and I do primarily aquathlons, but I also now do the cross duathlon and cross triathlon at this level, and I do a bit of everything at the next level down at local.
So quick question for you, because I am interested in that. How long have you been doing cross?
So my first international one was Târgu Mureș in Romania, which I'm gonna say was the year before COVID, year after COVID.
Yeah.
Year after COVID. Because it was a very small field, because a lot of people couldn't qualify or couldn't commit because of COVID. Right. Yeah. So about 4 or 5 years in the cross.
Oh right, so a while then. Yeah. Not new.
No. And you get 2 goes each time, because I do the duathlon and the triathlon.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So what did you do growing up as a kid?
So up until 10, I lived in Inverness, and it was just football and a bit of, whatever you did at school, a bit of running track, a bit of, playing in the playground, all that sort of stuff. Then when I was 10, we moved out to Germany for 3 years. My dad was attached to the army, and out there, because it's different weather, different conditions, different social life, there was a bit of everything.
Yeah.
So we're into badminton, open water swimming. It's a much more active life, much more social life. Cycling everywhere with the cyclopaths everywhere.
Yeah. Whereabouts in Germany was it?
So Dusseldorf.
Okay.
So up in the northwest.
Did you enjoy it?
Loved it. Also, every holiday we had a caravan, so we went everywhere in Europe. So I've done all of Western Europe, bits of towards the east, everything from I think now Slovakia, Romania are the furthest east I've been, and then everything west of that.
And did you pick up German?
My German's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, my French is okay. My Spanish is enough to get through cafes, and my Romanian is pretty much please, thank you.
You pick up languages quite well then?
No, but I do try and put the effort in for wherever we're going.
Study them.
And in August we're going to Czechia for the cross.
Yes,
so I've started the Duolingo in Czech just to see if at least to get please, thank you, one of those, two of these. Where is the nearest beer? That's
impressive. Yeah. So you're doing lots of stuff. Did anything really stick out that you really enjoyed, or you since look back?
So so up until 13, so we're in Germany. We did a bit of everything, but nothing really stuck. There was lots of football because everyone is still football. Came back to Scotland and realised that football here is a different sport. It is more. Well, first off, everything's colder. And it's a winter sport, so that I'm not good in the cold. But also, it's Germany at youth level is it's more like five-a-side. It's lots of tippy-tappy, proper passing,
more skillful,
but not a lot of hard tackling. Lots of pretty football, quite a lot of running about, but it's tidy. And then I came back to Scotland, and it was crunching tackles and 5 layers on because it was freezing, and it just I just wasn't getting anything out of that. So I moved then to a summer sport. I started athletics, and that from 13 to mid 30s I was solidly in athletics.
What was your favourite event?
So I did every event.
Did you?
Yeah, I ended up in decathlons, but I'd worked my way through. I started as a sprinter. I started as a cross country runner for half a season. Again, didn't like the cold, didn't like the wet.
Yeah.
Track season came round, very quickly went 1500, 800, 400, and by the end of my first track season I was doing 100, 200 hurdles. Stuck with that, through the rest of my career. So I was North of Scotland champion at 400 hurdles at under 20, and I still hold that title, but now by default, because we're here and the championship was last Saturday, so we flew out on Saturday, so I missed it, but no one ran it. So I'm claiming that I'm still the champion because no one's taken it off me. So I've held that since I was 19.
Wow.
And I do try and go back every year and defend it. And I every year on the start line I tell them the year someone beats me I will stop coming back.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but it's not doing my hip any good.
And it's not an easy event, is it?
And it's not an easy
400 flats hard.
Yeah.
So
and I'm not training properly for it now either, now that I've shifted across. So where do we get? Yeah, so mid-30s, I'd done all the track and field at quite high level, and I was getting to the point where I was no longer winning as much as I used to. I used to be... So looking at it, I was trying to figure out, was I a higher level than this? And I think probably yes, but because athletics is a bigger sport, it didn't look like I was at a higher level. I was winning Scottish titles, which I'm still doing, but because it was athletics, it feels like that Scottish title was bigger than an Agegroup Aquathlon Scottish title, just on size of fields and what have you. But I started losing, didn't like that, so effectively retired from athletics, barring this one race I go to every year. But didn't want to get fat, still like cake. So I decided I would take, I've got a bike, I can swim a little bit, I'll take up triathlons just to keep fit.
So how did you find out about triathlon?
So I had always known, so at university there was a triathlon club. So I was president of the athletics club. There was a triathlon club that held their own aquathon. We did a reciprocal deal with them where we would try and cajole all our members into the Aquathlon, and they would bring people to run cross-country events for us. So through university, I would do an aquathlon every couple of years, but breaststroke, and occasionally try and throw in a very bad length of front crawl and be out of breath and then go back to breaststroke. So it was just, I was just doing them as part of the deal with the triathlon.
But it was an introduction.
But it was an introduction, yeah. So and then when I was retiring from athletics, I thought if I learned to swim properly, I could do better at that race, and I could, I'm just going to do that one race. Everything else is just to keep me fit. I'll just do that one race. And then the first year I learned to swim, I then went out and won that race. And I was like, right, now I can still win things. That's that feeling back again. So yeah, maybe I could do more of this. Did some more biking. No, I can't do this. I'm really not good enough on the road bike. I can ride it. I can get around courses, but I'm not competitive.
When you say you're not good enough, so what does that mean?
So I can be out of the water in the front pack at local races. I can run with the front pack at local races, but they will take 5 and 10 minutes in a sprint on the bike.
So is that because of the consistency of time on the bike that you haven't put in, do you think?
No, so that was the thing is I did 3 or 4 years where I put a lot of time, a lot of effort in, and it made almost no difference. It maybe went from losing 5 minutes to losing 4 minutes, but I was still just losing so much on the road bike.
And it's funny, isn't it? Because I have the similar sort of thing with swimming. You put all that effort in, and you don't seem to get. Yeah, you do advance, obviously, but you don't seem to get the gains that you should be getting for the amount of time that you put in. Yeah, and that's what puts me off with swimming. So it's the same with you on the bike, isn't it?
And I have the people I train with. I can swim with them, I can run with them, but then when I try to go out and cycle with them, it's either them having a lazy day while I kill myself, or them disappearing into the distance and me ending up riding on my own. So I end up doing a lot of my cycling on my own, or on the turbo, which I hate. I really hate.
You don't like the turbo?
I can't.
See, I love the turbo.
I can do about half an hour, but I can't do any effort into it.
And have you been on things like Zwift and stuff?
Don't like Zwift.
Because for me, people say I don't like Zwift. I mean, I don't like the turbo if I haven't got something to race.
So I have a TV and I can sit and watch an episode of television, and that gets me through 30 minutes, and that's as long as my mind can.
But like if the likes of Zwift, you've got races on there, you've got hit sessions, you've got all that on there, which is like exactly the same you would do in a pool or you would do on a track. You know what I mean? And that keeps me entertained on a bike.
I can't do that on my own. So what I've done now instead is that I coach the university. There's 2 universities in Aberdeen. They train together. I coach them, and they have a spinning session, and that way I can get an hour and I can do a session where it is actually efforts. And as part of that, sometimes I just lead the session as the level 2 coach. Sometimes I will sit off to the side and let one of the level 1s or one of the people who's coming through who want to learn to be a coach, I let them take the session. I just supervise from the side. That way I can work 100%. I don't have to be... Because when you're leading the session, you have to be able to speak to people and give the instructions and whatever. And that's it. And you come off it thinking, I've worked... I felt like I was working quite hard, but the heart rate monitor says I wasn't. And it's, of course you had to be breathing and talking and counting down the efforts. And so if I can get off to the side and do it and watch one of them, that's gives me that. So that's how I get my hard bike sessions in.
And I guess you need that for the cross now.
So that's the thing. Now I've moved to mountain biking. There is a skill element there, and that is easier to do on your own because you can just go out and ride. And for the listeners, Lorna, my other half, is in the room, so I can go out and ride dangerous things on my own and potentially end up in a tree.
Tell me about it. It's a different type of riding, isn't it?
Yes, and there is a slight risk element, but again, I can go out in a group sometimes with people, and that way you all pedal up the hill together, and then you can do your descent at your own different speeds, and then you wait for each other and group up. But it's much the social element of mountain biking is much more do a section, wait for each other, go together, whereas road biking tends to be efforts away and get stretched out. It's much more social. It depends what group you're on.
Depends who you go. I was just going to say, depends who you go out with, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've had that in the past, but then we always now, whoever we go out with, nobody gets left behind, and we all stay together. Or we loop back.
And the other thing with the cross, I think it suits my sprint background, because you are sometimes, I need 1,000 watts for 10 seconds to get up over this, and then I can have
it's
5
not
minutes
flat
recovery.
out all the time.
So
is
it's
it?
not, and that's again with the road biking, trying to sit at 220 watts for an hour. I can't do it, but I'll give you 1,000 watts now and a couple of minutes rest and another 1,000, and it's, and that sort of pulses.
Well, like I always say on this podcast, that you've got to play to your strengths.
Yeah,
you know, 100%. You've got to play to your strengths, and that's the beauty of multisport. And I always say that as well, because there's so much to choose from for everybody who doesn't like a certain element of triathlon.
Yeah. Retired from athletics, did a bit of triathlon just for fun. Then started winning some smaller local races, winning my age group at larger local races, and then so I'm off to, now I'm going to Scottish Championship, still coming 10th, 15th, you know, getting round but not having any impact. But the Aquathlon, I'm up at least near the medals, if not in the medals. And then they moved the Aquathlon up towards us. They had it in our local reservoir one year,
right?
And I got on the podium, and then that was a big switch for me. I can win medals again at this level in a different sport, and I was really pleased with that. And I then there was a change of commitment level. It was
So how did that change then? What was it?
So up until then, I had just had this 2 or 3 years of, I was keeping fit. I was doing the odd event here and there, but I wasn't really training properly. I was doing one swim session a week with a club. I'm doing running sessions either with a running club or on my own. I'm doing bike riding with a cycle club. They had a TT series that I did quite regularly, but again, even with the expensive bike, I'm losing over a 10-mile TT. I was losing 4 and 5 minutes to the cyclists in my age group, and I couldn't buy my way out of that. No matter how much bigger the bikes got, how much faster, how much more expensive.
They only give you so much.
They only give you so much, and they can't compensate for just not having that consistent 200 whatever watts that you need to be putting out for that whole 24, 25 minutes or 20 minutes for the guys up front, and that's and that switched pretty much, maybe not overnight, but within a couple of months I was on to I'm doing 2 or 3 sessions a week in the pool. I'm doing one with the club, and then I'm doing a couple on my own as well. My running went from I'm just going out for a half-hour jog back to what I've done before, structured, doing efforts. Not so many track sessions. I don't really go on the track anymore, but I do my fartlek out on the road, or I'll go and do a hill rep session occasionally. And the bike, I was going out with the local cycling club, Deeside Thistle, and doing Sunday morning with them for 2-3 hours, but in their no drop group, and I was still the anchor in their no drop group. So even if there are other slow people in there, they're still tooting along at my pace while I'm eyeballs out trying to stay in it. So I did that for a few years. And then I was getting much better results out of aquathons, and I was starting to make progress in triathlons, but I'm never going to be a road bike triathlete at a significant level. And that took me on to Bratislava, which was my first international. So basically, one of my club mates had been to New Zealand the year before. Right, okay. I want to say Rotorua. This would be back maybe 2017, 2018. Right. He'd been out there to do a road triathlon, had come back with all his GB kit on, was in the pool in the slower lane next to me, in all his GB kit, and I'm like, I fancy a bit of that. Yeah. And
so you asked him about it.
Asked how he got in.
Or did you know while?
No. So when he came back in all his kit,
he was doing it then.
He told us he was going to New Zealand, but he hadn't said he was taking his bike and doing. He hadn't told anyone he qualified or no, not.
Why would you not do that?
Well, that's it. I think
with your club mates.
I think he was a bit expecting to come dead last, and he didn't want people to know. And then when he got out there and came, I think he was 6th or 7th, and came back.
Yeah, but it's funny, isn't it? Because like I said the other day, we're in a small club of 5 maybe, and there's a core of us that have been racing for GB for quite some time, and the numbers have built up, and we encourage people to have a go.
Yeah.
Put your money in. We're going to go and do this race as a club. Put your money in. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And even this year, we went up to East Fortune.
Yes,
and
I was there.
You were there?
Yeah.
Yeah. We went up to East Fortune to do the duathlon, and there was a lady had been in the club for a while. She'd been doing stuff forever, and we said to her, "Come up, you're coming up. Put your money in." Oh no,
Yeah.
just do it. Just put it.
Yeah.
Just put money in. She got a Q4.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
So I'm very keen on that with the aquathons.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of so the aquathon team. I don't know if you noticed yesterday is slightly Scottish biased.
Yeah, I did. Well, I did say to Kate, there is a lot of Scottish.
Yeah, so I'm going to
representation,
claim a
which
lot
is
of credit
great.
for that.
Yeah.
So every aquathlon I go to in Scotland, when they're doing the presentation, I ask the organizer if I can stand up and do a 2-minute sales pitch for GB Aquathlon on the back of that. So
cool.
I'm going to claim that.
That's
Well, at least one medalist from yesterday,
good.
Tony.
Yeah.
She's there because I basically badgered her into it.
Well, the thing is, this is the only way we're going to grow the sport.
Yeah.
Isn't it? If there's people like yourself who are prepared to do that.
Yeah.
And little clubs like us who are like, just go and do it.
Yeah.
Put your money. What have you got to lose?
Yeah, and the aquathlon's an easy one to qualify for as well, because you can do literally any aquathlon and then submit your times and they get looked at.
Yeah.
Ideally, do an outdoor one and finish up the front. But yeah, it's a good one to get in.
So we diversed again. So you saw your mate.
I've gone all over the place.
No,
it's fine. Yeah,
I think it was me.
Yeah.
Your mate is in the lane with his GB kit.
He's in the slower lane in his GB kit. Now that he's had a result and he's done well, he's now telling everyone that this is great.
And there was nobody else in your club had done that.
Not up to that point.
Not up to that point.
And we used to sell ourselves as the friendly club.
Yeah.
And there are 3 clubs locally, and the other 2 were quite
intense.
I don't think intense is the right word, but they were certainly more serious than we were. We were very much a keep fit, do a bit of cycling, a bit of swimming, a bit of running, but just do the bits you want. You don't even have to come to sessions regularly, just turn up when you feel like it.
Sounds like our club.
Yeah, and then suddenly we've got a GB Agegroup International in the lane next to us, and I'm not the only one who suddenly got better. There was 2 or 3 of us who are now one Irish and 2 other Brits who are swanning around in our suits all the time.
I mean,
waving the tracksuit jackets at people,
but
prodding other people to get in the team.
People say, "Oh, I'll not wear that. I'll not do that," and I'm like, "Well, I was the other guy that I interviewed, Martin. He's the chairman of the Welsh Triathlon Association, and I said to him, I started wearing my jacket around just so people were aware that it was a thing.
Yes.
This old bloke, this little old bloke's wearing this. What's that all about? And people come up and ask you about it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not doing it to show off or whatever. It's like I want people to become more aware. That's why I wear it. I'd never wear my tri-suit in a race. My GB kit in a race. I don't want to be a target.
So I have a thing. I only wear it if I think I'm getting on the podium.
Well, I very rarely get on the podium.
So any race I think I'm getting on the podium, I'm happy to wear it. But also because you only get 4 years use out of them, and triathlon suits do age as well. The lycra starts to go in them,
especially if you wear them in the pool a lot.
So I do like to get some value for my money. So I will wear them, but it's only in races where I think I'm getting on a podium. But I will turn up and I'll do all my warm up and everything in my normal gear. And if I do get a podium result, suddenly I've got the tracksuit jacket on before podium time comes.
Like Mr. Ben.
Yeah, it's magic. And you get up there and it feels good to wear it.
It does.
But also airports is the other thing. If you're wearing it in an airport, you do get people come up and ask, why have you got a GB top on? And you get to again share your passion with And I've had a couple of people on flights. I've had kids come up to me and ask, are you famous? And I'm like, well, not quite, but but
infamous.
But then you get 5 minutes to talk to them about triathlon and encourage them to come along and try it out. So
I think it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. We've diversed again, haven't we?
We have, but
I think that's going to be a pattern.
Yeah.
So so there's you now, the guy who originally did it, and somebody else in your club.
Yes, Jamie. He's currently our president. He's Irish, so he has a much more difficult qualifying route than me.
I've had a couple of Irish. Well, you probably know. I've had a couple of Irish on.
In that they have. so they're basically all their events are treated like we treat the sprint and standard. So you have to go to specific events and podium or qualify through those specific events. Whereas all the ones, being in Aberdeen, it's difficult to get to a lot of the qualifiers.
Yeah, it's tough on you guys, I think. Really.
It is, but that's part of why I do aquathons and cross, is that they're just do.
Yeah.
So the aquathon is do any race, submit your time. The cross now has a qualifying list.
Which is great, actually.
But it's an extensive qualifying list.
It is, and it was so tough when I started looking into it. I thought it was so tough to try and find somewhere that you could actually just go and have a race, never mind qualify.
Yeah, and I'm almost the opposite. A lot of the cross races are in Scotland.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
So
they're either up north or they're right down south.
Yeah. So I've got 5 or 6 options, but some of them are very tough races. One of them is it's not a full Ironman, but it's a multi-stage on and off the bike. So you swim first, but then you're on and off the bike run, bike, and one of the bikes is on a road section, and one of the bikes is a proper off-road, and you can use 2 different bikes. So you can road bike the road section, but the second section you couldn't get a mountain bike. You couldn't get a road bike over it. You have to take a mountain bike or a very serious gravel bike. So some people do both sections on their gravel bike, so they only have the one, and some people
swap
time trial and then swap to their mountain bike. But if you're going to do that, you need a crew to shift all your bikes around and move everything.
You don't
for
just leave your road bike on the side of the road.
Yeah, and it does turn into it's a logistical adventure race more than just a triathlon. So
I've not heard of one of those before.
Yeah, there's a few of them up by us, and there's one of them is on the qualifying list.
Right.
But there's quite a few up by us that you can do and submit your results and get in that way, and that's what I have done for the cross for the last 4 or 5 years.
So what was your first race for age group?
Bratislava Aquathon. I'm going to say 2019.
Okay.
2018, 2019.
Yeah.
And that was an adventure. Went with my then wife. She refused to go to Eastern Europe. When she heard it was Slovakia, she wasn't coming. And then I sold her on the idea it was only 20 minutes from Vienna. So we would stay in Vienna, we would go through for race day, do the race, go back to Vienna. We would just have a holiday in Vienna, and I would just spoil one day going to a race. And what we actually did was we did our 4 days in Vienna, then we went to Bratislava for race day, and it's beautiful as well. And we ended up there for the second half of the week. And I had a good race there. Got in the top 10 at my first event. Met some new people, some of whom I'm still great friends with. Fergus, he's a very good triathlon friend. He was the top Brit in his age group yesterday.
Right.
Met a few new people, and it's gone from there.
And have you qualified every year since then? I'll try to.
I have qualified. I've not always gone. So last year I didn't go to Portugal, and I haven't done anything outside Europe. I don't fly well.
Right.
I've got arthritis in my hip.
Yeah.
And sitting in those seats for
2
hours around Europe, I can just about cope with. Anything further than that is too far. Next year I will only have Europeans. I'm not going to go to Abu Dhabi, but we'll see. I don't know where Europeans are going yet.
You don't know? No, it's not been announced, has it?
No. So
I'm hoping it's somewhere different. Again.
Yeah. I don't mind Spain, but the other adventures have been good. Romania was great.
Yeah.
Bratislava has been now twice, and they've held at different venues both times, and they've both been fantastic.
We've been quite lucky actually, because we had Romania, we've had Italy, and we've had Portugal.
Yes,
they've all been a bit different as well.
Yeah, I went to Riva for the cross 2 years ago, 2 years ago.
And then we got Czechia for...
Snapped my bike. That's a story in itself.
What did you do? Yeah, come on then, let's get
shipped the bike out. Mountain bike came with me in the box. That was fine. Took it out, put it together. Went out on recce day, and I don't think I'd fitted the rear axle quite properly, and it slipped out. But it was fine. Popped out, give me a little wiggle. Oh, it's fine. I see what I've done. Back on, tightened it up. I think probably in that I had possibly stressed the rear triangle.
Right.
Either that or it's been bashed in the box, or something's happened to it on the way anyway. Do the duathlon, do the first run. I'm sitting in 4th. That is my best position ever by miles, and I was comfortably in fourth, and I was gonna finish fourth. Got up the first climb on the mountain bike, that was okay. Halfway down the descent, suddenly the wheel is rubbing against the frame. I'm like, oh, have I not put this axle in again right? Got off, everything looks fine, because as soon as I took my weight off it, everything settled back into place.
Of course, yeah.
Got off, looks fine, hopped on, rode another 200 meters, and I think because of the way I was leaning, I was holding the frame back together in place, and it was fine, and then tried to take a right hand turn, and whoa, and over I went. And the rear triangle, it just snapped straight through a weld. So had to climb off and walk that down to the finish. Bit frustrating, but it meant I was fresh for the triathlon 2 days later on the hired bike from the local shop, which I'd only hired that morning, didn't have suspension, probably wasn't quite fitted perfectly for me. It was good enough that I could ride it, but the minute I got to so there was one particular technical section. It was just a couple of so the brakes and gears on the wrong side because it's European setup. One little section, probably a foot high little roller. It's a nothing, and on the full suspension mountain bike, hadn't even noticed it was there. And first lap on the hardtail, and it threw me in a hedge. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I've made a mistake. I'll be okay. Rode the rest of the lap fine. Came around, it's a 4-lap race, come around lap 2, there's that hedge, that's okay, I'll take it to the left instead, and it throws me off into the bank instead. Every single lap, the 4th lap, I literally rolled into it with the brakes on as slow as I possibly could and still managed to topple it in exactly the same spot all 4 laps. And it was just a nothing. There was much worse stuff on the course, and
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just
like that. Then gets into your head.
Yeah, and it was probably the size of a big curb, and that was enough to. And it was just no idea what happened there, but So again, finished the race, did quite well. Happy enough with my result, but I think if I'd had my own bike, first off, I'd have been 4th in the duathlon. I'd have had a great race there, and then I think I'd have been a good few places higher in the try as well, but. You live and learn. You do. And,
it's all experiences, isn't it? And it's the things that go wrong that you learn from, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. And I could have just, I've snapped the bike and gone home. I'm not even doing the other one. But it was like, no, it's still. I'm here. I've had a rest. Because normally I go into the second one and I've got I'm 2 days off the back of doing myself in. So Romania. Let's get back. Romania, my first cross. That was the 2 races, 2 days apart. Well. And the second one, I was empty. It came out of the water, so I got dunked in the water, came out really stressed, and it went into a big climb up the hill, and literally 65, 70-year-old women were coming past me on the climb up the hill, and I just felt rotten. Got up, cycled round for a while, but I was just cycling round. I wasn't racing anymore. It was just getting round, and then out onto the run, and they had a specific section in the run where they had a really steep climb, and they'd put a timing mat top and bottom, and put in basically a sprint award for this top and bottom of the hill.
Just what you need.
And they'd put a bell at the top, so as you went through the top, you could ring the bell. And the first lap round, I couldn't even muster the strength to ring the bell. I think I was too dehydrated and hadn't looked after myself in the 2 days between the races, and was just exhausted. And the second time round, I managed to walk up the hill. I got to the top and I punched the bell as hard as I could, and then it was about 200 meters round to the finish. But I was probably half of that second lap. I felt like I was crying, but I was too dehydrated to cry, and I just hadn't taken care of myself properly. So again, big lesson there. Not just don't just get through your races. You have to, the day in between, you have to be doing a recovery. You have to be looking after yourself. You have to be feeding yourself and drinking plenty and putting the sun cream on and all those things, and take care of yourself in between. You can't just swan up to doing multiple races in a week. And nowadays I'm doing 3, so I get, because they've squeezed them together into the week, so I don't know
how you do it.
Cross duathlon Tuesday, cross tri on a Thursday, and then get up and do an aquathlon on the Friday. But that's fine now that I've learned to get fed. Lorna feeds me as well. She's in between races, she's literally dragging me into have some sweets, have some Coke.
Make sure you feel.
Yeah.
Cool. So how did it go on from there then? How have you progressed and what have you learned?
So aquathlons, I've qualified for every one since.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Portugal last year because they put out about 2 months before the race, they put out a video of the first half of the cross mountain bike courses.
Yeah.
And it looked like you were just doing a cycle path along the river and then through the park. And it looked like, I could take my time trial bike to that. Yeah. Why am I doing that? And it turned out the second half of the mountain bike course was a proper mountain bike course, and had it
even in the town. I mean, it was like this. It was an old town, but the top was like on a hill.
Yeah, and I've seen the videos of people sliding round corners,
and it was like the shiny little cobbles that
it
was like that, and it was like that.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking because we were after catered race, because I didn't race, but after catered race, we had to walk up to the top, the old town, and we're thinking, bloody hell, they're going to have to climb in this, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like a little, it was up.
And I think if they put that video out,
and then I think they come through the botanical gardens as well, which we looked in and was beautiful.
So you weren't allowed in until they were only open for race day apparently. So
So well, you don't know, do you?
But
you can only go on what you think, can't you? Really?
But again, I've learned a lesson there. Don't watch the pre-video and judge on that. So again, they put one out for Pamplona this year, and it looks like it's not Pamplona, Pontevedra, and it looks like quite a soft mountain bike course. But I'm not taking the video's word for it. I'm going to go and see it myself this year.
If it is, that'll be great for me because my first one, that'll be ace.
It's have you watched the video?
No.
It looks like Land Rover track. 98, 99%. There's nothing seriously technical in it, but that you can't tell the hill from the video. It could be vertical.
I'm not bothered going up.
Yeah.
Technical going down, I'm getting better because there's like a woods near me, and it's a proper mountain biking. Descending, and they've got the berms and stuff. And I'm getting better. It's like the big rocks and things and dropping off.
Yeah. From the video, I don't think we got any of that.
I haven't mastered that, so I've come off a couple of times trying.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing in Pontevedra will be keeping hydrated, keeping fueled, because it's going to be hot and there's a lot of climb in it. So there's going to be.
Well, I did Canic Chase, and there was a lot of climbing in that.
Yeah.
When I did that, I think it was about 12k, and I was on my old mountain bike before I got my new one, the old 11-year-old Boardman, which was like hardtail, and I've got all these like new, one buys coming past me. Oh God, this is hard. Oh well, that's good to know. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it though.
Yeah. So is this your first cross?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I only ended it because I wasn't competitive enough. I'd been injured with an Achilles injury, and I hadn't ran for ages. And I only ended it because I thought, well, I don't have to go and race to try and qualify.
Yeah.
I just have to go and do a race and see where I am. And I was.
And then decide.
I was well in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then I thought this is really good, and I've done 3 races since. So I've really enjoyed them.
And so when you go, the team is very. You'll have seen the Aquathlon team. They're very friendly. They're very. I don't get that so much when I've met the road team. Yeah. It's not that they're not nice people. It's just that they're all stressed about having transported their road bikes and having to rebuild their road bikes.
Yeah, it did seem a different vibe. Both myself and Kate said, it's a different vibe.
It's a bit more chilled to the Aquathlon because all you have to do is remember your goggles and your suit and you're here. Yeah. And the mountain bikers seem to be, again, because mountain biking is more of a chilled. We'll go out. We'll have a toot around. We'll wait for each other. It's a lot more like the Aquathlon team than like the road.
I am looking forward to it. Yeah. So it'll be an adventure.
Yeah.
Which is what we like.
Yeah. And there's some of the really good mountain bikers are very good at it. So they'll come out on a recce with you and they'll show you this is the line to take round here. Don't just drop in. They're very helpful.
All experience.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So where have we got to? We diversed again.
We're all over the place.
We are all over the place.
Good luck cutting this back together.
Well, I'll just let it go. I mean, I'll edit a certain bit out, but I'll just let it go because I like this because it's a chat. You know what I mean? It's natural. Yeah. And we're talking about things we have in common and what we like doing. Yeah. So I don't mind that at all, and I think it keeps people entertained.
Yeah.
So you've been doing them for a while. All the different variants.
So I'm about 15 years in now.
Yeah, so you've had a good run.
Yeah.
And you continue to carry on doing it.
Yes.
As long as you can.
And I still do try the road runs. I was I was at East Fortune. Yeah. Didn't get anywhere near the qualifying, but I still enjoyed it.
Did you get a percentage?
I think yes, but I think it's like 119, and it's there's a lot of people apply for that one, so I'm not getting in.
That was exactly the same for me. I got 118 because it was the British champs, wasn't it?
So they stacked up everything. So it was British champs, Scottish champs, British universities champs, which they didn't announce on the day, but that was hidden in there.
Was it?
It's the only it's the only closed road one in Scotland. Yeah. So again, everyone who wants to, it's the only drafting one in Scotland. Yeah. So it's
it was stacked, and I knew it was stacked, and we went up for a good weekend with the club, and I knew I wouldn't get it. I got 118%, but that's not going to be enough because, like your age group,
there's like 45 applicants in mine.
But it's fine. It is what it is.
And it is. And so the other thing with that one, I've done it 2 years in a row now, and the first year I got in a good pack for a while. Yeah. I dragged the pack back together, then missed the last 5 yards of closing it myself, and everyone scooted past me and left me alone. But then I got in another pack, and then this year it was almost a solo time trial the entire way, and I was 5 seconds off for the bike.
And it was windy as well, wasn't it? It was. So I was pretty much on my own. I didn't have a good bike at all, and it was. I just found it tough.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful surface.
Yeah.
And
it was good. And
again, being a mountain biker, my handling is better than a lot of the roadies that were in there. So there's a lot of people breaking into corners. You're like, what are you doing? I don't think you need to break on that course at all. I
think if you get the right lines, you're right. If you're not going in too fast.
Yeah. No, even if you're going in too fast, there's plenty of space on that track.
That bottom corner's a bit dodgy.
They race motorbikes around it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're probably a better bike handler than
I am. There's a bit of that. But
So, well, I mean, it's a great story, and it's like I said, it's been a pleasure to meet you over here and do this face to face. So, good luck with everything in the future. So, we've just got the quick fire questions, as you well know, and the first one is, as always, usually, what's your favourite bit of kit?
So, being a regular listener, I've had time to think about this. I could have gone for any of my 7 bikes and justified why that one was.
That's the usual answer, isn't it? As you well know.
Yeah, and I could have justified any one of them. I could have gone for the Super Hues. I love my Super Hues. They do literally make me a minute faster.
What do you run in?
So I have Adidas Boston 10s. Right. They are well worn out. I need a pair of new ones. Yeah. I'm probably going Boston 12s. I just need to convince the bank manager that that's a good idea. So I love what they do for me. But I've now run my 10k PB age 46, having been running for 35 years, and for me that has spoiled the legacy of athletics. And the things I did when I was 18 and 19 are no longer comparable to what I do now because the Hues have just made
you hit the nail on the head there. You can't compare, so you shouldn't, because it's a different era, isn't it?
But I think that's spoiled athletics as a sport for me, because now I can't compare things I'm watching and other people I know to what they used to do. Because everyone's suddenly taken this step, and for some people they really work. Like I say, for me it's a minute over 5k, just putting those shoes on compared to other shoes, that's not the same for everyone. Some people are getting nothing. Some people are getting.
I think everybody gets recovery from them, because of the amount of foam that we've got. So I think you recover a lot better, even if you're not necessarily faster. I think you probably get the recovery in there.
But for me, they've spoiled athletics as a sport, and for that I can't select them on moral grounds.
I guess fair enough.
And then I had you could argue the watch, but then last week I broke one, and it's the Garmin 735. I went through 7 of them because they kept leaking and kept breaking. So they no longer will give me a replacement or sell me one. So I've had to go to the 255. So I can't go for the watch because it's unreliable and has died again. I did think about going for my spreadsheet. So every session I've done since 2007 is in an Excel spreadsheet. So I know exactly what I've done every day for 18 years now. But what I'm actually going to go for is the earplugs. So one of my friends who races at this level, Jim, who I introduced you to the other day, he now has swimmer's ear, surfer's ear from getting too much water in his ears doing so. And the earplugs are the best way to prevent that. But also I find, especially doing the aquathlons, getting out of the water, getting into your running, they make such a difference to being able to get up and run without worrying about your balance. And so I couldn't go without the earplugs. I must be 10 or 12 years in. Every swim session the earplugs go in.
Cool. I
So
don't know
that's
whether we've had earplugs before.
yeah. I was looking to. I was trying to specifically play the game there and give you a special one.
Well, a special one. I've had a stapler.
Yeah, so I've got a little one-hole hole punch that I bring with me for doing my numbers.
Yeah, the numbers. Yeah. Stapler. Yeah.
But yeah, that's so earplugs.
Second quick fire question is: what does a week of training look like?
That's
quite a general question, but
so that I had a good answer for that, and then I just started a new job 3 weeks ago, and everything's upside down.
Right.
So
what do you do?
So I'm an integrity engineer for an energy company. So I look after oil rigs in the North Sea.
Oh, right.
Making sure they don't fall over.
Nice.
Now that we're not producing as much oil, it's pretty much a case of looking after them until we can take a giant crane out and pick them up.
Yeah.
So that has changed so now I've gone back to what I previously did, which was I do a lot of commuting. I'm 7 miles from my house to the door at work.
Right.
So that fits nicely for running sessions. I can either just take an easy run in, or I can do a rep session on the way in or the way home. And again, it's just about enough on the bike to get an easy half hour in, half hour home. There are a couple of gravelly bits on the way, so if I take the mountain bike, I can do a very short section of mountain biking. But my main thing is I have to build it backwards from when I can get to the pool.
Right.
And so it's trying to fit in 3 sessions in the water a week. And I sort of threw it in earlier, and I've not really talked about it. I now coach the students at both the Aberdeen universities.
Yeah, you did mention.
So it's trying to fit their sessions in, so I can coach them, then get my sessions in, get the pool in, get to and from work, get 4 or 5 runs in a week, get 4 or 5 bikes in a week. It's it's just juggling the puzzle. Lorna and I don't live together, so there's also commuting to her house for weekends or commuting to my house for weekends, and I want to cram as much as I can in Monday to Thursday so that we can have time together on the weekends.
That's
and
important.
Because
at the end of the day, this is a hobby, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's a hobby that takes a lot of commitment.
It is,
but it's
and time.
Yeah,
mainly time. I think it's the
and trying to fit in all the things around it: washing, eating,
life, sleep.
Getting my physio and getting my hips seen to, Sorry. We've skipped my when I stopped athletics. Part of it was my hip.
Right.
I got told I had arthritis.
Was that your leading leg?
No, trail leg. It's the one that has to do the big hook grind. So I have arthritis in that, but it's genetic arthritis, not wear. So it was always coming. It was just a matter of when. At some point, I will need a hip replacement.
Right.
But instead, every year I go in and they stick a giant needle in between the ball and the joint and pump that full of fluid so that it stops rattling around. And I get that done every year.
Does that help?
It is magic.
Yeah. So I guess when you first get it done, it's like having a new hip, is it?
Yeah. It takes about 10 years out of it. Yeah. So you can see in my training diary, you can see the day it gets done. Again, it's like putting the new shoe.
You can only have that done once a year.
I could get it done whenever I need it, which so far is once a year.
Right.
It will become less effective as time goes on. Eventually, there will come a point where it's like, well, it's every 6 months. That's no longer value for the NHS, so they will then push me to a hip replacement instead. Yeah. One of my teammates, he's 2 years younger than me. Jamie, the Irish international, he had his right hip done about 5 years ago, and it was brilliant. Yeah. He was out.
It's second nature these days, isn't it?
So this is the thing. He got his first one done, and he came out, and he was within 6-8 weeks. He was back in front of me. Then he got his left one done, and now he hops everywhere. So he can. He can still mount a bike. He can still swim, but he really, really struggles on the run now. He can jog a bit, and if he has a good day with his bad hip, he can run. But
so they couldn't redo it then.
I think he's looking at possibly.
Isn't that strange though? Because I mean, like I was just going to say,
because after he had
you corrected me, that it's like an easy procedure these days. You know, you're in and you're out. Aren't you?
After his
Same
first
with your
one,
knees, isn't it?
After his first one, I was going into the NHS going, no more injections. Let's just do the hip. And then after his second one, I went, no,
that's all right.
As long as we can keep getting the injections to work, we'll keep doing that. And there comes a point where they won't work, or there won't be.
Well, don't go to his second doctor.
Yeah, well,
Right,
same one did them both
one.
as well. That's the thing. Same.
He must have had a bad day then.
Same guy, same robot. So he got the ones where they basically clamp a robot to your pelvis, and the robot does it, and the guy is standing there supervising. And, and it's still no. Okay, I prefer that to the humans, but yeah. But so at the minute, if the injections keep working, I'll keep getting them done. Yeah. And my doctor is very good in that he looked at my race calendar this year and said, when do you want them done? And I was like, I want them far enough ahead of Pamplona that it can settle, and that will get me Pontevedra in another 5 weeks, and then Czechia I think is 6 or 7 after that. So I'll hopefully get a good run at it, and then once it starts to fade off through winter, I'll get a little bit of a limp training through winter, and then back in next March. Lorna's nodding in the background because my idea of a little bit of a limp and her idea of hobbling around like a cripple are slightly different.
Yeah, we always see it different, don't we?
It definitely makes a big difference when I get it done now. My running style changes, and I look a lot smoother, and
Are you coached, or did you just coach yourself?
I am now almost entirely self-coached. I do get some occasional swimming advice. And not so much this year. So generally what happens is with the universities, one of them will be qualifying their way through as a coach, quite often an ex-swimmer. So if I can get one of them, then I will take my turns in the pool, and I will swim and do my level 2ing from inside the pool, and they'll do their coaching from outside, and that way I get some advice. I've also had Lorna take videos of me in a swim race and looked at them myself and gone, oh my god, what is that left arm doing?
It's awful. There's nothing worse is than being filmed in the pool. Because you think you swim like Mark Spitz, but
I honestly think I'm Michael Phelps. It must look exactly like that. I'm just not as big and strong as he is, and then you watch the video back and you're like, oh my god, what have I done? But I quite often have ex-swimmers, or I say ex-swimmers, they're still 19 and 20, but they've decided that the commitment of swimming and swimming at the top level is not for them, and they've come out of swimming and gone to triathlon at the start of the university career, but they have a much better foundation than I have in swimming, and they're very good at telling me what I'm doing wrong.
That's handy, isn't it? On your doorstep.
Yes.
Perfect. Cool.
And my big motto, which I will manage to squeeze in here, is learning is your only long-term advantage. So the more you learn is the only way to stay ahead. If you're not picking up something new, learning something new, then everyone else will catch up.
And that's why I listen to a lot of podcasts. Because you
including yours.
I don't listen to my own.
So that's part of why I listen to yours to get.
Well, I listen to others as well, but you do. I mean, even mine. You listen to people who've been doing it for years, and you pick up little bits, and that's why I love listening to guests like yourself, because you pick up information of what works for them, and then you can go off and try it, and it might not work for you, might work for you, might be great, but you're right. Learning, you never know everything, do you? Especially in life in general, you don't know. You're always learning, and you've got to be open to that. Cool. Best bit of advice that you've been given?
So much over the years. I'll go the one I've just managed to sneak in earlier. I should have kept that for this question. Learning is your only long-term advantage. Cool. Keep learning. Don't think. Not only just don't think you know it all, but there's always, even if you did know it all, things change. Science evolves. The shoes evolve. The training techniques evolve. Nutrition advice evolves. One of who's the triathlete that went to Ineos, and he just did an Ironman split where he was and he was putting in 200 grams of carbs an hour, and if you told someone that 5 and 6 years ago, they'd have just laughed you out of the room, but now you're seeing 120 is a fairly standard for people at that level, but even though they're doing it, doesn't mean I could do it, and doesn't mean I need to do it, but there is knowing that someone has tried that and it's worked for them means that maybe I should be trying more than one gel every half hour. Maybe I could go 3 an hour instead of 2 an hour. And maybe I should be practicing that before going to the heat of Pontevedra and cooking myself. Maybe I should try and fit a bigger bottle on the bike. But I need to practice that beforehand. Nothing new on race day.
And that's the key. It's funny. I was downstairs with the guys from Nirvana, the mechanics, And I said, how's it going? He went, oh yeah, it's all right. He said, if this guy's listening, then apologies in advance. But he said, yeah, it's all right. He said, but we've just had this guy come in with his TT bike, and he's just decided to go on to
shorter crank, tubeless on race day. I've gone recently onto tubeless on my mountain bike, and I like it, but I don't know what I'm going to do if something goes wrong on race day, because taking the liners out and putting a tube in and everything, that's race finish.
None of my bikes have got tubeless in. Yeah, I don't. Tubes.
So yeah, I love all the road bikes are tubes. Yeah. It's only my race mountain bike that I'm now trying tubeless, but I'm going with the foam liners as well, so that there's a bit of impact protection.
You'd be very unlucky, I think, to get, and I know it happens, but you'd be very unlucky to, especially if you're tubeless and you've got liners and the tires, you'd be very unlucky.
Yeah, and I normally carry the foam injector rather than gas and tube, so I'll do a foam injector and clean up the mess the day after. And normally that'll hold, but I don't know if that'll work with the liners. I don't know if it'll work with the big
you're going to try
tires.
Before you...
Well, I'm not going to try and get a puncture. This is the problem, is that the only way I'll test that is
if I
need to try and get a puncture in the next 5 weeks.
You need to try it out so you can do it.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. Yeah, for me, tubes.
Yeah.
And finally then, the last question is, what's your long-term goals for the sport and for yourself?
That is a good one. So part of me is survive long enough to get a medal at this level. At the minute I'm not podium. I'm not close to podium, but once we get to 60, 65s, the ranks of the cross athletes thin out quite rapidly, and just surviving that long gets you a medal. Sorry, whether my hip will let me still be going in another 10-15 years time. Aquathlon, it's just to keep coming. I don't think I'm ever going to be podium level at this. There are very good swimmers and very good runners out there, and Donald Brooks is only 2 years behind me. Is part of the problem.
Good old Donald.
But and Pip is only a couple of years behind me as well, and he came second yesterday. So there's a lot of competition out there. So Aquathlons, it's to keep being part of the team. It's a good team to travel with. They're good fun. We go nice places. But cross, I think, I'm close to a podium. I think either everything has to go right for me on the day it goes wrong for other people, or I have to out-survive people retiring and giving it up. But there's also the added danger there that it's cross. There is a chance you stick it in a tree and you've lost the season.
That is the worry. I've come off a couple of times recently, and Kate's like,
I've got the metal collarbone from
I don't
a road
think you should be doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm in it now. Yeah. I'm all in. So well, you know.
And I say the courses are not technically hard. If you've done a local mountain bike race, the tri courses, even at Euro and international level, will be easier than that.
I'm not worried about the course. In my, because it's the first one. If there's a section that I don't feel comfortable, I'll get off.
Yes.
And I'll walk. And I watched a video of somebody in the Xterra series, and that's exactly what Spaniard or whatever, and he got off and walked.
Yeah,
walked his bike down, and I'm quite happy doing that. No shame in that. If I don't feel safe going down something, that's what I'll do.
Absolutely.
And then I'll get back on and go.
So where were we? Where was the last Spanish one? Not Ibiza. There was one before Ibiza. I can't remember. It'll come to me once we've. Oh no! So Balmaceda. So it was effectively Bilbao when I did. So Balmaceda, Bermeo, Bilbao in the same week, and that one, the mountain bike was. We went out and recce'd it, and there was a couple of bits where it was steep drops, and it was like, I'm going to get off and walk this, and then it came to race day, and it's like, nope, I could. The guys in front of me have done it. I've seen what they've done. I'm as good as them, and you just follow them in, and suddenly you're right the other side.
I think it's different, isn't it? If you've got somebody in front of you that you're following. I mean, I've come off. I go on my own. I've come off, and I don't know the lines. I'm not experienced enough. So I've gone down somewhere, and I'm like, oh no, that's not right. And I'm off, and I'm over the handlebars, and I've hit a tree, and you know, whatever. But it's
get up and go again.
Yeah, of course you do. And then you try a different line, and that would work better. So, well, thank you ever so much for your time, and
been great to chat and great.
Thank you for the podcast. It does keep me entertained on my runs in and out from work.
When Kate said that you'd been looking me out, I was so pleased because you know it's nice to hear. I mean, I put time into this thing, but I love doing it. So it's not a chore. It's just. And
while we're on that, I'm going to throw in a credit here for Dave Pearson, who is the person who introduced me to the podcast.
Right. Okay.
So the Agegroup News.
Oh, nice one.
It was him advertising that you were up for an award. That put me in first. And Dave is fantastic. He's been my team manager a couple of times.
Dave's been on the podcast, I think, twice. Yeah. Once himself, and then through when they set up Tri Ranking, you probably heard that one. I said, come on, by all means, and because it's another thing I like to do. Anything involving people trying to do and get a foot up in triathlon, come on and share it. You don't even have to be a triathlete, because I've had people on, you know. So so it's just for me to give back to people who listen. I just wished I could get it out to more people, and more people are aware, but you know, it is what it is. So but thanks ever so much.
All right. Thank you.
And there he goes, Kevin Morice, and it was really nice to meet up, like I said earlier. Such a nice guy, great story, and really passionate about what we do, and it just shines through on that podcast. I think he's competitive and wants to do well and everything else that goes with it. So, but it's also realistic, and that's important as well. So once again, Kevin, thank you ever so much for your time and for your listening. It really does mean a lot. So that's it for this episode. Just a big good luck to everybody racing out in Pontevedra at the World Championships. All the guests that have been on especially. And I just hope you have a great time, enjoy it, smile from start to finish, and stay safe, and just have the best time, because that's why we do it, is to make memories and enjoy these locations that we get to. So if you're racing or if you're supporting, have a great time. And as I said at the beginning of the show, if you'd like to come on the podcast, if you're an age grouper, please do get in touch. You can get in touch with us via email at agegroupmultisportpodcast@gmail.com. You'll find us on Instagram at amp_podcast. We're on Facebook at what's now Richard Joseph Conway. I'm not sure why that's changed, but it's changed to my name, and then it's in brackets amp. And we're on YouTube at AmpGB. And all these podcasts are on our channel, as well as loads of videos that I do about my training. I did start it, like I've said before, for any age group athletes that want to send videos in, but that sort of petered out. So now it's my channel, and I just put what I've been doing training wise, sometimes put a few recipes in there. So it's just my day-to-day training regime and life in general, really. Keeps me entertained. I quite enjoy doing all the little videos and editing them and stuff, so check that out. And if you like what you hear and what you see, please do support us. Please do like, subscribe, and tell your friends, tell your teammates. And if you know anybody who wants to come on, or is an age grouper and would like to come on, or you think they'd have a great story, tell them to get in touch. So that's it. Thank you once again for listening, and we shall see you next time. And as always, don't forget, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.